Welcome to the podcast, y'all. I got an accent today. I don't care.
Yeah, what accent is it?
I don't know. Maybe it was Georgia.
What is up, our infinite magical beings? How are you guys doing? Hope you doing well.
That's IMB for short.
IMB?
Yeah.
Shout out to the IMBs out there.
I'm glad you said it because y'all, these acronyms be getting me. I'd be like, what? Let
Yeah.
Google. Listen.
Make up some, you
Isn't it
know?
so true? It's like you have to know the 3 2 5s to be able to integrate this thing you want.
Google. Because I'd be straight up lost. I'm like, ooh, child. Mm.
On that note, yes.
Oh no, I was about to say sometimes you gotta say stuff in a way that they don't understand it, but it's like has emphasis to it.
Oh, yes.
So it's like I don't understand it, but like I just know that it's something that I gotta do.
Yeah.
On that note, let's welcome Jasmine to the podcast because
Hey.
this is about to be. Can I say the word?
Go ahead, say what you want, girl.
Lit.
Why you? What's a whisper lit? Come, I never heard a whisper lit. This is gonna be. You're supposed to be like lit. Alliteration going on.
She was trying to make it sexy. You know how we do. That hey.
Lovely. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Being a male trying to force stuff. You know?
See, you already know.
And hello to everyone who's watching. Let's officially welcome Jasmine because there's some things that we get to talk about today. And one of them is that just hit me like right off the bat is that you say that you serve from a place of wholeness, healing, and thriving. And that just like those three words together just really jumped out at me. And I'd love to hear from you, what those words mean to you and what exactly it is that you are serving.
So, in order to really make that make sense, I got to tell y'all something funny. And it's part of what kickstarted the whole journey for me. And then it'll all tie in together eventually. So people don't believe me when I say I've been doing this for almost 21 years now. And I literally started when I was right at 18, turning 19 in a rehab facility. It was half rehab, half nursing home. And I went through training to become a certified nursing assistant, learned pretty early that, this ain't it for me. And so I took those skills and I went into home care. So I did the same things just in home with catastrophic injuries. But before I made that switch, I had this one patient that I was assigned to in the nursing home that had a stroke. His wife had either left him or died, but he was alone, really had no family to come check on him. And he was rude as hell, just the most horrible person to be around. I was giving him a bed bath one day and I heard something go, and I thought, oh my God, I done broke the man's penis. Like I had a straight meltdown. I really thought I had messed him up. So I was like, hold on, sir, hold on. So I ran and got the nurse and she came running in and we were palpating, just asking him questions. Does it hurt? Like, how does it? And he was fine. He was having a good old time, clearly.
Hey.
And we figured out that he had a penile implant. That was the noise that I had heard.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that led to him sharing this story with me of how he wasn't the best husband. And in order to, I guess, to save the marriage, he had gotten the penile implant to give his wife more pleasure. And didn't work. They ended up going their separate ways. And then I think at some point she did pass. But that stood in the back of my mind. And it kind of was the initiation for me realizing that there's nothing off limits when it comes to the journey that I embarked on. So I took that with me. And as I was doing catastrophic injuries, I worked with TBI, which is traumatic brain injuries. I worked with spina bifida, cerebral palsy, multiple sclerosis, high functioning autism, I worked with paraplegics, quadriplegics, stroke survivors, you name it, I worked with it. And that set me up for everything that I would experience with them, because they want to talk about sex. They wanted to talk about spouses cheating. They wanted to talk about not having enough sex. I mean, the pain, the rehab was all a part of it, but those were still important things to them. So here I am at 20, 21, 22, 23, having these conversations with like 35-year-olds and 40-year-olds and 50-year-olds. And I'm thinking, wow, I don't have that much experience. I don't know what I'm supposed to be talking to you about, but they just wanted safe space. That was the thing. So in them talking and me listening, I learned. And that was what I learned, that people wanted safe space so that they could find their space of wholeness. They wanted safe space to talk through and process so that they could figure out how to thrive from whatever it was that they were dealing with. You get what I'm saying? And so here I am now, 2 decades in this. And I tell people all the time, there's probably nothing you can tell me that's really just going to shock me, because I have heard it all, seen it all, probably worked with it all, and been in the middle of it all, dealing with clients, because I went from that aspect of it to saying, this is a lot. And it does take a toll on you when patients get sick, when they pass. So I said, well, I'll switch into coaching. I became a certified personal trainer, eventually went to school and became a licensed massage therapist, went to school and got my counseling degrees. And so through all of that, I was the bartender, right? I heard everything. And that theme still ran current. It didn't matter socioeconomic status. It didn't matter age. It didn't matter culture. That theme stayed. People want to know that they are seen and they're heard, right? So I stuck with that. And that's what I give. So how I serve really depends on the person. I have some people that will come to me. They want to talk through it. They want to figure out, why am I repeating this pattern? Why does this thing keep happening? Or if it's relationships, why am I attracting this same type of person or dealing with this thing in my family? Whatever. If it's financial, they want to come up with a strategy to make changes to change the financial situation. If it's career changes, whether it's childhood trauma, whether it's working on fertility or going through a divorce or getting ready for marriage, doesn't matter. They all want to know that how they feel is valid, what they want to accomplish is real, and that they're capable of it. And they need somebody that can tag team in with them and jump off that cliff and say, I got you. I'm with you. You're not alone. So again, that theme continued of, they want to be whole. They want to thrive. And my job is to figure out, how can I connect with you where you are and help you to see where you want to go, and then outline the action steps. I don't heal anybody. And people get confused because they say, well, but your name is the Healing One and your business is I Am Healing One. True. Clients gave me that name, and they gave it to me because that's my focus. That's my passion. But I always try to remind people, you do the work. I am simply the catalyst and the mirror that helps to reflect for you to see. You do the work. So I serve to be that safe space and to be that safe person.
There's a lot of nuggets in there being dropped. But I love the last part where you said is, you do the work. And that is something I was actually talking to Kai about that as well. Meeting the universe halfway type of thing.
Yeah.
Meaning the universe always says yes to the stuff that we want or whatever. But also it's like, how are you meeting the universe halfway to also be able to do the necessary actions to get what you want? Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of things out there that just say like, oh, if you think about it and you affirm it and you just sit there, then it's going to happen. But it's like, how can something happen without any action type of thing?
Yeah. I'm with you on that. I always try to get people to understand, when it comes to manifesting, I believe time is a continuum. It never stops. Energy is a continuum. It never stops. Your job is to figure out, where am I trying to get to and why do I need that thing in my life? Because understanding that motivation is what keeps you accountable. It's what keeps you invested, because it's not always going to snap, crackle, and pop and appear right before your very eyes overnight, right? But no matter how long it takes, if you understand why you want that thing and what it's supposed to do for you, then it gives you the stamina to stay with it. Now, aside from that, whatever you believe, whether it be spirit, source, God, angels, Catholicism, Hinduism, Christianity, whatever you believe in, it's your job to then connect with your higher power, your bigger self, and say, now give me the wisdom and the strategy to help me get there. Because that brings the action steps. We don't get to sleep it away and wake up and we down the yellow brick road. We got to take those steps.
Yeah. And that's the next thing too. Perfect segue of connecting to that higher version of yourself. And also, like for me, my perspective is there's infinite realities. So when we think of something in this reality, it's already done. Yep. So there is a version of us that has this completed, and that part of us is like that higher self, that higher version of us that can help give us the directions of the next actions to take. And what a lot of people, even myself, sometimes what would happen is I will get that guidance of doing this type of action, but in this reality, I started getting a little bit afraid. Oh, wait a second, hold on. I don't know if I should be doing this type of thing, or even just having the belief of, I tried this numerous times before, so why am I going to try this new thing right here when like all my other previous experiences gave me the result I didn't want? So how is this going to give me exactly what I want? And there's me saying that out loud is like a new experience, a new action will bring new results. But she even said it to me before on, was it, I think like over the weekend, but she was also mentioning like your beingness while you're doing it also matters.
That you have to get to such a place where nothing else matters but this moment. So I do a lot of addiction counseling as well. And one thing that I have dealt with a lot of my clients in that arena is they get lost in the struggle of forgiveness. They get lost in the struggle of all the things that they feel like they have to atone for, make right, other people not forgiving them, whatever. And afraid of relapse, moving forward and relapsing. But what I have found to be most effective with them when I work with them is reminding them, this is all that matters right here. You cannot go back and change that. So you can apologize and you can do your best and atone, and it's up to that person to do what they're going to do with that. Your job is done once you've done what you can. You cannot fast forward and simultaneously exist because you're going to miss out on something. So the best that you can do is to be right here in this moment. This is all that matters. What can I do in this moment to be great? What can I do in this moment to thrive? What can I do in this moment to experience the thing that I'm going towards so that once I get there, I'm ready for it and I'm comfortable to receive it so that I'm not pushing it away out of fear or misunderstanding. You know what I mean?
Yeah, these are important points. And thank you so much for bringing it up in the context of addiction, because, as we know, addiction isn't just substances. Addiction can be judgment, addiction can be guilt, addiction can be many things.
Absolutely.
Do you think there could be an addiction to self-sabotage?
Yes. Oh, yes. For me, I look at addiction as anything that you are repeatedly doing to get a result, but that is negative in impact. So whether that be sex, shopping, overworking, lack of healthy eating habits, over exercising, whatever it is, and or drugs or alcohol, etc. Whatever it is, you're doing something with the hope of chasing that high, that euphoria that you once got. But that's never going to come, right? We know that's the unicorn that you're chasing that's always going to be right around the corner. Exactly. So, and that's why I use the present moment, because a lot of them get lost in, I'm so afraid what's going to happen when or if, worried about relapsing, or I'm so ashamed because they don't forgive me, or this thing happened, or I remember when. All of that's out there. The best thing that you can do is focus right here. This is where this physical body is right now. And the more energy that you're giving to the other things, whether it be past or future, takes away from this present moment and takes away from your ability to thrive in it.
Takes away from your power.
That word, So we wonder why we're struggling to manifest. We wonder why we're struggling to heal. We wonder why we're struggling to resolve something. So think of it like a battery. If you use your phone all day long and you don't go back and charge it, that phone is going to do what at the end of the day?
Die.
It's going to throw them two fingers up and be like, I'm out. Right. So we're the same way. If we are giving power without recharging by what being here, pouring into self, then eventually we deplete and we go into burnout. We go back to the addictive behaviors or habits. We go back to the sabotage or whatever it is that we're doing to cause harm. And we're still missing out on the thing that we want to actually accomplish. Because duality is great, but it doesn't work when you're trying to accomplish something. You cannot run in two different directions at the same time.
Yeah, those who wish to catch two rabbits catch none.
Yeah. An example I used to give my clients when I was personal training was, in order to get the result that you want, you've got to be multifaceted, right? So there are different things that you've got to do to accomplish. You got to make sure that you're sleeping well, restful sleep. You got to make sure that you're eating healthy. You got to make sure that you're doing the things that work for the outcome that you want, whether it be losing weight, gaining weight, toning up, competition, extreme fitness, health issues being remedied, whatever. But if you're doing the thing that got you to where you are and doing the new behavior, you're in a state of this. You're never going to actually go in one direction or the other. So it's like putting your foot on the gas and the brake in the car at the same time. And when the car is spinning out and turning, and you're like, but what? Why am I not moving forward? That's why. You've got to pick a direction and go. So change the behavior or do what you're continuing to do. But either way, you got to go in one direction or the other.
Yeah.
That's like a universal thing. Because I was about to ask the question when she mentioned before about people saying, or clients that you worked with that said they keep experiencing the same relationship over and over and over again.
Yeah.
But the theme also from that is I have the same experience over and over and over again. So definitely want to hear more from you to unravel that even more, because I got to do it not only for asking for a friend myself, but for our audience members, because there's a lot of people who do ask, like, why am I experiencing the same thing over and over and over again? So for these type of people, what do you feel are the reasons why we may be experiencing something over and over again when it's something that we don't want to experience no longer?
One, the comfort of knowing where you are. As much as something may be painful or uncomfortable or distasteful to what you actually want, there's a certain comfort in knowing what to expect, right? So I know that if I do this thing, I'm going to get this outcome, this result, these reactions. I don't really want this, but I'm going to do this anyway. It's like that guilty pleasure of self-sabotage, the self-fulfilling prophecy. On the flip side of that, worthiness. That is the thing that I have seen for 20 years across the board. Worthiness, or the lack thereof. If I'm comfortable with what I know and it feels safe, that old saying, the devil you know is better than the one you don't. So if I'm comfortable with this thing because this is my surrounding, this is what is or real to me or true to me at this point, and I see that far off thing, am I capable of it? Do I trust myself to do it? Can I handle it? Do I know what I'm doing? Do I have any support? Can I conquer my fears? Those are all the things that kind of circle in our heads, right? So it comes back to worthiness. Because whether it's manifesting as lack of self-love, lack of self-confidence, lack of self-esteem, lack of self-trust, it's still all going to boil back down to worthiness. I have to decide that I am worthy of the thing that I want. I have to decide that I'm worthy of having it, that I'm worthy of creating it, that I'm worthy of cultivating it, that I can keep it. Because a lot of people don't do things because they're afraid that once they get it, they can't keep it. Still worthiness. I am worthy. That simple statement changes the game Sorry if you hear my dogs in the background. That simple statement changes the.
Preach on, preach on.
Listen, they out there like, hey. And they do that. Anytime I start talking about healing, they literally will do that, because all beings, all spirits feel energy, right? But I am worthy. That statement changes the game once you realize how powerful it really is, because it is self-affirmation, self-truth.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you think there's a difference between, like the I am worthy and like saying something and like being it, or action wise with it?
Yeah.
So like how they say actions speak louder than words. So we can like potentially say these, okay, yeah, I'm deserving of this relationship, I'm deserving of this abundance, I'm deserving of this, but then our actions show that like we're still like maybe we're afraid of it, or maybe we're not worthy of it. So then like for me, I potentially feel that the reality shows you exactly what is true. So we're worthy of these things, but it's still not showing up. So could there potentially be some type of, I guess, unconscious actions that we're doing, or if our subconscious still believing that we're not worthy of it, even though we're saying we're worthy of it?
Absolutely. So the lack of the understanding of the worthiness is what can contribute to those self-sabotaging experiences. So let's give an example. In my journey, I have shared a lot of my own experiences, because I believe that in order for a person to really trust and understand that I know what the hell I'm talking about, I need to not only tell you why I know what I know, logistically speaking, from a degree standpoint, but just me as a human being. I got to be able to relate to you in some manner or fashion. So I shared along the way that I had run from marriage. I didn't get married until I was 30, 37, 38, somewhere in there. And, I was very transparent in that part of my journey in relationships, that I had run from any type of commitment that got too intense. So I was fine being, committed. I didn't cheat. I was fine being in the relationship as long as marriage was not on the table. And, it took me a long time, honestly, to look at myself and ask why, because I always attracted, for the most part, marriage-minded men. There were a couple in there that, I was like, But for the most part, they were all commitment-minded, marriage-minded guys, provider types. And so I kept questioning, why am I getting this? But I'm saying that I don't want it. And when it comes into the conversation or comes into pass and they're proposing or wanting to talk about it and do all this stuff, I'm like, I'm out. Okay, my time's up. See, nice knowing you. But there was some worthiness that was missing from childhood. There was the truth in me that I was not worthy of having a family. And so every time that came into position, even though I wanted it, and my energy, my higher self knew that I wanted it and needed it, so it kept coming, me and the conscious was not ready in this body. So I kept hard stopping it, And it wasn't until I was able to look at my behavior and say, okay, clearly this is a repetitive pattern. Now let's break this down and look at why. And I had to go all the way back to childhood and look at what are the things that happened that led me to thinking that I wasn't worthy of this. There was also fear that I couldn't sustain it, because I'd seen so many divorces. I'd seen so much craziness, so much dysfunction, right? So there was fear that I couldn't sustain it, which then fed back to, I'm not worthy of that. I can't have that. I don't deserve that. So it wasn't until I was able to dive into that and really acknowledge those things and feel those fears and process and do the work to heal them and reset them that I was able to cultivate what I wanted and not run from it and let it play out. So whether it's a relationship, it could be financial. People will say, I want to be a millionaire. I want to build a legacy, but they continue to accept a low-end job. Why? Because a lot of times there's a fear, and I've dealt with this with clients a lot. A lot of times there's a fear of, if I accept a higher paying job, what if I fail? What if I can't do what I told them I can do? I don't want to get fired. I don't want to look bad. I don't want to look stupid. So they will continue to accept the thing that is beneath them, that doesn't challenge where they are. They can stay mediocre, for lack of a better word,
Wow.
instead of reaching up to what they actually want for fear of, I can't handle this. I don't know if I'm enough. I'm not worthy of that. So I'm going to stay right here. And that applies across the board to anything that you can really think of, any circumstance you can think of, financially, mentally, spiritually, health wise. This is why you have people with a lot of health issues that will glorify, oh, you know, I got lupus and MS, and let me tell you what the doctor said. And they will talk your ear off for an hour about everything that's wrong. But when you want to have the conversation about doing better, because they
Mhm.
are so afraid that it is not possible for them.
Mm. Wow. That it's another truth nugget that you dropped there. Just how we get so comfortable, but also this thinking like, oh, this is it. This is what's happening right now, and this is it.
Mm-hmm.
This is the sentence. This is what it is. This is what it
Yes.
is. I would like to potentially get healthier, or potentially make more money, or potentially get that relationship, but it's probably not going to happen for me based upon my experience up to this moment.
Mm-hmm.
It's the story that all of us are guilty of it. We say these stories, but we
Mm-hmm.
never really think about the potentiality of a moment that's not even here yet, of what we can
Yeah.
create.
Yeah. That self-fulfilling prophecy. If I say that it's not gonna happen, well, then when it doesn't happen, see, I told you.
Mm-hmm. Self-fulfilling prophecies. Like, yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy, but it's like it's very interesting. But like what we speak, we create, and what we believe, it happens. But we don't we don't even know sometimes of what we're actually doing. Like you said, you took that self-reflective time for yourself to
Mm-hmm.
really go into that part of like, hey, something's happening, continue happening. I want to get down to the root of it. It's not just this; it's something
Yeah.
deeper. So
Yeah.
I want to take a step deeper into that. So like for
Yeah.
yourself, when you were doing that self-reflective work for you, what are some of the tools and modalities you was actually doing to like take that look at yourself?
I First of all, I got honest with myself. You have to understand what your motivation is. So as long as it was quote unquote working for me, I wasn't motivated to change it. I didn't see anything wrong with not being married or just being, in a long-term relationship and, having a boyfriend or whatever, because that's what I felt like I needed at the time. I enjoyed my freedom. I was focused on business and going to school and all the things that I felt like were more important to me at that time. I wasn't worried about getting married or having kids. And it wasn't until I was offended that it was really that it was really uncomfortable enough for me to take a deeper look and say, well, maybe this isn't necessarily true for me. Because I was dating this guy and he had proposed, and we were planning the wedding and our next steps, were we going to move into his house or buy a house, all the things that need to happen. And he started to try to define everything, and it made me feel like I was suffocating. I was like, oh my God. So I called it off. And I went, I dated for a while and just kind of stayed single. And then I got into another relationship maybe 2 years later. And that particular person I dated for maybe 3-4 years off and on. And again, marriage was coming up and we were talking and starting to make plans. And I was starting to feel that suffocating, like, whew, okay, I don't know about this. And somebody said to me, we broke up. We got into it really bad and decided, let's just not do this. So we broke up. And a female said to me, he didn't want to marry you, no way. That's why you ain't married. I think I was 30 at the time. That's why you 30 and not married. And the way she said it, it was such an attack in the front. I was like, oh, wait. Oh, I felt stabbed. But I looked at, why was I offended? Because that's the thing. Like, her opinion really didn't matter. I wasn't sleeping with her. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't in a relationship with her. I wasn't, her opinion should have had no bearing on anything. But because she was someone that I considered close, I was offended, and it almost made me feel insecure. Like, well, is something wrong with me? And that was the trigger for me. I started from her perspective of, something's wrong with you because you're 30 and not married. But then I flipped it and was like, well, clearly I've had the opportunities. I got my first proposal when I was 18 or 19. And so I started looking back through my history, and I said, well, clearly, you know, I've had the opportunities. What has happened that I have continued to walk away? I started asking myself the hard questions that I really had not wanted to give answers to. And I made myself sit with it. Okay, well, what did you think was wrong with him? Okay, well, what did you think was wrong with him? Why is it that all of these people, and you're the common denominator, but you still saying, well, something was wrong with them? That was when the true reality started to shift for me, because up until that moment it had been truth. I wasn't really interested in marriage, but then that insecurity kicked in. Well, okay, I guess I got to get married now because something's wrong with me because they said. And that was enough for me to say, well, what the hell, hold up, because it felt like an affront to me that all of a sudden I wasn't good enough because of someone else's opinion.
Ooh.
And I'm just being honest. You have to understand what your motivation is in order to be able to use it. You get what I'm saying? I had a real problem with that. I had a real, because I was looking at her like, well, your ass single too, and you about 15 years older than me. What's wrong with you? Now, I could have stayed, being honest, I could have stayed in that and chosen to be blind and kept on living my life the way that it was. But I was able to recognize there's something here that this has troubled me this deeply. Let me dive into that so that I can see what it is and use it. And as I started to ask myself those uncomfortable questions and really face myself, those fears started coming up. I was afraid of being that vulnerable to get married because I'd always had to protect myself. I was afraid of being not enough and going through a divorce because everybody I had seen was divorced. I was afraid to be disrespected and cheated on and stuck in a marriage because I'd seen that too. So all of those things had kicked in to say, you don't deserve this. You can't have this. You're not worthy. You'll never, whatever. And as I started facing those and saying, well, that's okay. Is this true? Is it not true? What's real for me? That's when I was able to start making those forward steps to say, well, I don't really have a problem with marriage per se. The problem's within me to heal those fears. Let me make my way through this so I can figure out what it is that I want, whether that be marriage or not. But let me make it from a decision of wholeness. See that word coming back? Without fear. Because any decision that we're making in fear is never going to serve us unless that fear is literally keeping us alive and protecting us. Any decision that we make in fear and insecurity is only serving the purpose to keep us trapped where we are.
Wow. That wholeness. Wow. Yeah. How many times have we tried to make decisions like out of fear or out of a place of an illusion that we're incomplete and trying to make a decision to try to get ourselves complete or to feel complete or whatever it may be that we're looking for. Like, wow.
Yep. Because again, that worthiness, I'm not enough. I can't. It won't be. That fear is in itself trying to protect us from the disappointment or the rejection or the failure, but it's still keeping us stuck in the thing that we don't want and preventing us from having what we want unless we're willing to face it.
Yeah, that's deep. The rejection, yes. I was just saying that to somebody too, just how like that rejection, yeah, rejection can hurt. It hurts for a moment though, just like everything else. But the great thing is like you tried, you went for what you wanted, and even though it said it might have been a no, it's just a no for this moment. But like myself in my own journey, when I got rejected, I took that on for more than just that moment of just one moment saying no. Like, oh, I'm not worthy or I'm not good enough and all this other stuff like that. Compared to, hey, we all have preferences, and this is an example of like a relationship. The person told me no, they don't want the relationship anymore. And I took that as, oh, I'm not worthy of a relationship and all these other things. But no, the person just didn't prefer me.
Yep.
It took me a while to get there, but once, oh, we have preferences. It's like, what was it? I'm trying to remember what I said as a person. Oh, it's like ice cream.
Yeah.
Like, analogy of ice cream. There's chocolate. It's all different flavors. And this person's let's say like I'm chocolate ice cream, and this person tried the chocolate ice cream and they liked the chocolate ice cream for a while, but then like there's, oh, I want to try this strawberry ice cream now, and then prefer to have strawberry ice cream now compared to chocolate ice cream. And chocolate ice cream doesn't say I'm not worthy enough. There's plenty of people out there who still are adored by chocolate ice.
Exactly.
But it takes a while, because for me, I am the baby of the family, and I don't like when my toys get taken away.
Right. Most of us don't, we be in our feelings, and that's okay, because feelings are there to be experienced. Point is, we got to move through them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's the deepest part of just taking that self-reflective, like going in with it, because from there, there's monumental shifts just happen. And also like you really get to see exactly what you truly, truly want.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I think it's the journey of becoming authentically self. We come into these bodies, these powerful beings, and then we're constantly being told what we can't do, what we can't have, what's not possible, based on the traumas of our family and our parents. Because if they haven't done their work, all they can give us is the trauma that they know. And then when we get into teenage years, we rebel, because a lot of us finally figure out this is you know what I mean? so then we're acting a fool, and you're just bad. No, you got a being in this body that's trying to figure it out because it knows something ain't right. And then you go into your adulthood, your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, whatever, trying to figure it out for self and make it right. So it's really about self-exploration and self-acceptance.
Yeah.
Those questions.
Mm-hmm.
Being the observer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it was so profound that you used the word thrive, because like some people don't even have a concept of what that is.
Yeah.
Making it past the day by day, just not enough.
Holding it down, making the ends meet, hanging on, That came for me because I realized that a lot of times we're just simply surviving. Again, a lot of our parents, black, white, other, doesn't matter. A lot of our parents were traumatized, such is life in this human body. But if they didn't have the support or the wisdom or the courage, faith, whatever, to do their work and step outside of the framework of what existed in their space, in their community, in their families, then all they did was take the trauma that was passed on to them, babysit it for a little bit, and then birth it in us, and then expect us to pass it forward. So you got a lot of people that when they try to do something different, this is why families reject them. You don't have the right to heal. What do you mean you want to do something different? You know what I mean? We're expected to toe the line. And so most of us survive not even realizing that's what we're doing, because it is our normal. It is what we think is possible. And so to get out of that box and stretch and find freedom to be self, whatever that looks like, authentic self, that's where you start thriving, whatever that means for you. Because there's no recipe, right? There's no one size fits all cookie cutter. It's literally getting out there and being adventurous and figuring it out.
And thank you for using those words, figure it out, because those are words that have they've affected me in a lot of different ways. One, in the sense that I thought that I always had to have it figured out.
Yeah.
And then becoming addicted to figuring it out, as opposed to being out there in the adventure and in the unknown. So I really appreciate you bringing that back home, because that was
I love to tell people I am imperfectly perfect. I am messed up, crazy, and I'm still perfect, but I'm messy, and that's life. There's this idea that in order to thrive, you've got to have it all figured out. You got to be perfect. You got to be well put together and show up glossy and shiny. And that is not life. People think that millionaire status or successful business or successful marriage, just they woke up and it was there. So far from the truth. Like, if you knew the shit that happens behind the scene to get people where they are. And I feel like we have to normalize being human again. You know, that's one of my pet peeves with the spiritual arena and the spiritual niche is you got all these high vibe, pretty coaches with these Instagram lives. And yeah, it's great to take that selfie. I could take some good selfies now. Let me put on little some and put my little lipstick on, and I can give you some vibes, but that's a picture.
Mm-hmm.
Behind the scenes, we're still living real life like everybody, but so many people are afraid to talk about that or to show that because they think, well, clients won't want me. They won't want to pay me. Well, baby, listen, if you don't want me, I'm good. Because there's always somebody else with some more money that's willing to pay me. So let me be me, right? And give you me, because me is what you're going to get when you sign up anyway. So let me not paint this false picture.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I love having these conversations, because I want to help normalize that life is messy.
Yeah, exactly. It's so true. One of my spiritual teachers, he mentioned that as well. He was like, if you want to see like what it's really like to like see a bunch of people who are like just quote unquote spiritual bypassing their stuff, is like meet a lot of these like I guess people who are perceived like on Instagram as these spiritual teachers, these high vibe people. It's like when that camera's off, oh. Yeah, it's like force. It's I like to call it the force upon love and light type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And like, it's all rainbows and unicorns and all this other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But like, yeah, there's the other nitty gritty too. That's the embodiment and infinite because it's everything. And the messiness and having fun with that. It's like playing in the universal mud and making mud angels and stuff. Yeah, there's beautiful moments too, but there's also like there's tough, I guess, intense moments. But I love like this new wave of like what you're doing, and even for myself, I'm stepping more into this, and also I know people are stepping into this of being transparent and vulnerable and sharing your unconditional truth, not your conditional truth, but your unconditional truth. And this allows you to really showcase these, I like to call them spiritual muscles, because that's what it's all about. Like all the yoga and meditation and all this other stuff, it helps to build your spiritual muscles for when like shit happens, you can be able to be with your shit authentic.
Yes. Well, look at nature. I mean, nature's messy. You got animals eating each other and, chasing each other as prey. One minute you look at the ocean and it's peaceful, and the next minute it's throwing a hurricane or a tornado at you. Just life.
Yeah.
And so if this is all around us, what gives us the arrogance to think that we're supposed to wake up in the morning and just have it all put together? And really, on top of arrogance is insecurity. Because most people don't want to be vulnerable to show that messiness because they don't want to be judged or, again, rejected.
Yeah.
Garrett says vulnerability and authenticity are traits of the new healers. And Juju says to be transparent and vulnerable doesn't come easy to most people.
Yeah. It's like for me personally, it was just my own journey of when I was that before in my experiences of being shamed and judged, but also social media wise.
Yeah.
You can see when people post stuff, they may get judged, or people just making fun of each other. It's like the high school tables all over again type of thing going on.
Yeah.
But now it's like coming to this point of just let's acknowledge it. We all are going through some shit right now. We all have been through some shit right now. We all have these emotions that we are going through, and we need to have more conversations like this, a space to be able to share what's going on, not be judged, and let's heal together, because that's the way of us actually being able to connect to this universal truth that's within each and every one of us, hear other people's perspectives and not judge them based upon their own perspective and label them as a certain way just because of their beliefs. It's like we're getting there, but it's like
yeah. Well, it's like you know, so I slightly disagree with that other comment that said it's a trait of the new healer. I think it's always been the standard. This pretty cookie cutter, marvelous painting that is being created now is somewhat new. Because when we look at tradition through different cultures, we see medicine women and men, we see shamans, we see chiefs and priestesses, not this bullshit on Facebook now, but I mean real, where they sat together in the communities, where they did the work together, where they healed together. The leaders sat amongst the people in a lot of the rituals and demonstrated, you know? And so I think it's more recent when we look at traditional versus now conventional. Social media makes everything pretty with all these filters and the desperation, the need for small businesses on, to figure out how to reach the people, the owners trying to figure out, how do I compete, how do I get in front of the people and take the business from that person. And so that has fueled that need to have it all together, right? And then you get people like me, where I have always been told that I'm the renegade. I'm that little meme that makes its way around Facebook every year with the little horse or the mule or something in the china shop tearing everything up. Like, that's me. And I've always been that way. And bless the people that tried to change me, because they had hell and a fire on their hands, because I've always been this way. And it caused a lot of trauma for me, because I would try to bend and they would try to contort me and make me this and make me that, especially when I was in ministry. But there was always something in me that recognized that's not my path. I'm not here to be behind the pulpit. I'm not here to be pretty. I'm not here to be, extra feminine and soft. And because people always say, well, Jazz, you get so much more if you would just be nicer. But I don't want to be. How about that? I want to be me. And if you construe that as mean, that's okay. I'm just not the person for you. But for the people that I'm here for, it resonates and they get what they need. You understand what I'm saying? I'm not here to be the vixen or the priestess. I'm just here to be me. And that is messy and unclassy and ungraceful, little ratchet, little hood, bougie, I'm like I feel like Megan Thee Stallion wrote her song Savage for me, because I'd be like, that's it, honey, that right there. And I so funny, because I had this conversation, literally it was myself and two women last week talking, and this lady said something about she's seen something on Facebook, and these chicks were arguing over something some guy had done, and this, that, and the other. And she was like, what do you think? And I said, I don't care. And they were like, well, that's harsh. No. And I laid it out for them. If I'm not them sleeping with them, if I'm not paying bills with them, if they don't have my name or I don't have theirs, and I don't have kids with them and live in the household with them, it is not relevant to me, and I don't care. And the third girl said, well, that was kind of ghetto. I said, no, baby, that's real. I may not say it in the way that you want me to and pretty it up, but it's real. It's honest. Yeah. And I said, that's called being well-rounded. I know what I need. I know what I want. I know what's relevant for me. And I'm grounded in that. But I think that people shy away from that because, again, that rejection is real. We are so afraid to be told no, or to be made to feel that we don't matter, or to be shunned or pushed out of the circle. And that motivates almost everything that we do, until we get to a point where we realize doing all those tricks and pony rides is still not going to make us happy. At the end of the day, we're still going to be stuck with self.
I love this comment that Juju is posting here. It says, nobody's posting their failures on social media. It says, the real healers, the one who have always been, on the other hand, know what's up. It's in the challenges that we grow and heal exponentially. It's through vulnerability and authenticity that we truly connect heart-centered. I mean, just thinking about that, if I could post failures, I'd have so much content, it would not even be funny. Like, thank you, Juju.
I say do it. I say do it. Like, this is how I have become who I am, because I've shared some of the traumas that now here's the difference. I tell people, you can have boundaries and be private, yet still be transparent. And that's me. You don't need to be all up in my business. It's mine. It's my right to have privacy and live my life. But in the aspect of me showing up in this way to do the services that I do, I still believe that there has to be some transparency. So I've shared, a lot of the stupid relationship mistakes that I've made in the past. I've shared, some of my failures as a business, as an owner, as an entrepreneur. I've shared my pains and my wounds as a Black woman, as a woman. I'll never forget, I had this post about 2 years ago, and I was talking to Black women, I want to say Black men and women, or Black women. And there were some white ladies that came on, and it just went left and got real ugly. And I remember like boohooing my eyes out, just feeling like such a failure, because I felt like I had not protected the people that identified with what I was saying. And I had allowed the other women to come on and just kind of, take away from that. And so I did this video, and I was bawling and boohooing, and people were messaging me saying, Jazz, but you crying on video, girl, that ain't where it's at. Stop that. Take that down. But I did it for a reason, and it did what it needed to do. That was my vulnerability. That was my transparency, my hurt at feeling like I had failed. But it reached the people that it needed to reach, because they understood. Because what I was talking about was my struggle at being a Black woman in today's times and being a healer and a coach. And that struggle where you want to center your people, but you can't just only help your people because we all exist, right? That's a constant struggle for me. And I remember so many people coming and saying, take that down, delete that, because I put it on YouTube, I had it on Facebook. I needed to share that. And it reached people. Had I listened to those people that were fear mongering and saying it's going to mess you up and people ain't going to want to support you or pay you or, whatever, then I wouldn't have done it. If you notice, I curse. Had I listened to the people that was like, girl, you a healer. You supposed to be spiritual. Stop that. You understand what I'm saying? And so all of those things of vulnerabilities, it's not just in sharing our traumas and our mistakes and our wounds. The vulnerability comes in just being self. That's the true power of healing. It allows you to just be you. And for her comment, I love that. I would just add to it that it's not even the true healers. It is the people that are doing their healing work. Because you can identify as a healer or even be here to be a healer and still not be doing your own healing work. And that's why you get a lot of people that get lost in putting that mask on and feeling like they got to behave in a certain way and fit that narrow box, because there are still things that they have to work through in order to be able to show up differently.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Oh, let's see. We got another comment. Thank you, Juju. You want to read this one?
Word. Healing. Real healing. It is real. It's ugly. It's noisy. It's messy, ratchet, and ghetto. Be brutally honest is what we call in my neck of the Bronx. Shout out to the Bronx. Say it how it is, and yet also know that this is not my lesson to learn. We don't live together, etc., etc. And yes, don't be in my business and don't be in my pockets. Yet, I will share what I choose to assist in your healing. Thank you.
All of that.
Yeah.
All of that.
That is so true. And my perspective is, and it's also from my own experience, is when I was into like focus on other people's business instead of my own, is my way of bypassing me dealing with my own shit. And also for what's it called? Gratification. So example of this for myself was I'll be watching, let's say like the Jerry Springer show or the Maury Povich show, and I was watching these shows just to see somebody who was worse off than me. So, I'm not as worse as this person, but it's like a bypass. Like, wait, I still got shit that I got to deal with, but like, I'm going to use this as an excuse. But also like that, being able to potentially judge somebody who's going through their own stuff, but really we're judging ourselves and not ready to like be with ourselves. And eventually the universe smacks you with the universal titty.
Every time. Every time. Every time. But
Wow.
it's always about figuring out what you're here to do. You know, some of us are here to operate as healers, as coaches. Some of us are here to be teachers. Some of us are here to be lawyers, doctors. Some of us are here to be chefs. Some of us are here to be stay-at-home parents. Some of us are here to be police officers, nurses, whatever. It's about figuring out what you're here to do, what you're here to experience, what you're here to create, what you're here to cultivate, what you're here to give, what you're here to receive. We have to figure that out for self, because trying to mimic somebody else's journey and be a carbon copy or a mini me, that's just a surefire way to keep yourself turning in that never ending circle of disappointment and fear, which leads to unfulfillment, brokenness, weariness, and guess what? I am not worthy. So it always is going to come back to self, looking at self and being authentic.
Yeah, I I love that, and once again I'm going to share for myself my own experience of
Yeah.
that, of being in that circle loop, and it's in regards to like looking at people that I admire, let's say like a Tony Robbins out there, or a Muji, all these different like powerful spiritual teachers and coaches out there. And I would, before initially with my coaching, I would try to mimic these type of people that I was admiring, and it's not actually being myself. Oh, how would Tony do this? How would this do it? Compared to like, oh, how would I be able to handle this? Oh, I have a powerful story as well to share. I can be able to help people based upon my own experience. It took me a while, and also getting over my own insecurity and self-doubt, in which I have a unique, powerful story, and the universe, source, create this story for myself, my life journey, to be able to help serve people powerfully who are going through similar stuff. It took a while out there, but also I know that there's people out there that's also trying to do the same thing, in which they're trying to do things to mimic somebody else. And like Kai does, which is like powerful, is like she finds something she admires, but then she adds her flavor to it.
Yeah. That's all it is. Life is an adventure. You know, get out there, get muddy, get dirty, get nasty, get messy, because that's where you find your truth.
Yeah, that's another one right there. That could be a whole different episode with the spiritual community. Like, it's okay to get that money.
Listen, I don't work for free. I tell people all the time, you want to go to your job and get paid. This is my job. And if you don't want your employer to devalue your skill sets, your expertise, your time that you invested, that money that you invested to get them certifications and them licensures and going to school and getting them degrees, or just the time that you spent researching on your own, what makes you think that anybody else should be working for free? And I found that I have to explain that, because for some reason people, they see it differently when they see that you're a business owner or you work for yourself. They imagine you got this money tree in the backyard and it's some invisible person just paying you all the time. And I'm like, no, this is my job. I may not clock in for somebody else or report to somebody else, but I still report to me, and me be like, don't make me slap you silly. You better, you know. So we have to normalize that as well, especially Black healers and coaches. We often struggle, because I struggled with it for years, and everybody that I've come in contact with has too. We struggle with respecting the fact that though we may be gifted spiritually, it is still an ability that we can monetize to take care of ourselves and pay bills. It does not have to be, but it can be. So if you got gifts and you don't want to monetize them, don't. But if you do monetize them, don't give into feeling that guilt, because you have a right, just like that lawyer, doctor, nurse, chef, waitress, server, and everybody else does.
And honestly, I feel like healing is like the one of the most important things out there to be able to heal. Just look at the doctors that help them people to heal physically, but like healers out there helping to heal your inner being. That's like monumental, because it's, imagine the possibility of you showing up for, let's say, going for a relationship or going for whatever you're going for as a full, completed, integrated being.
Yeah. You know what changed the game for me? Finally understanding that I am not charging for my time, I am charging for my expertise. Because we get tripped up on how much can I charge per hour? How much can I charge for this? How much can I charge for that? Listen, you ain't arguing with that doctor when they see you for 5 minutes and you get that $400 bill, because you're paying him or her because they went to medical school and they learned how to try and experiment and treat the condition that you may have or that you're trying to avoid, right? So I did the same thing. I went to school and I got licenses and I got certifications and I spent years studying, right? Pay me. We have to we have to normalize this because we still feel such a stigma as Black people. And then check it out when we come from the perspective that healing is personal. You got to do the work, but you still need that person's expertise to help you figure out what work to do. So we got to normalize it, because you don't go to the grocery store and get no groceries for free. You don't go to the doctor for free. You don't go get the mayonnaise for free. You don't go to that barbershop for free. You don't get that Michael Kors purse for free. People pay for the things that they value. So either they are not valuing what you're giving because they don't see the value in you, or they don't see the value in themselves to invest in it. But either way, it still comes back to value.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's like, for me, I feel that, like, let's say like the Michael Kors and things out there, those are like the instant, quick, like, moment.
Exactly.
Way you can feel it. Oh, I'm gonna feel like so superior and stuff like this because I'm gonna have this Michael Kors. I'm gonna feel worthy because I'm gonna have this. But the thing about understanding that more, it's only a temporary experience. You're gonna need to have more experiences like that to get more of it. And the value of a healing thing is you get to be that feeling that you're seeking, and you get to integrate that to another level. And the value of that is infinite. It's like you can't put a number value on infinite, but we do it because we just charge what we feel we're deserving of. It's totally fine. But like, just think about that beingness and the healing experience that they receive from that, how they're going to be able to live. It's like a long-term lifetime investment.
Well, you got to be willing to do the work. There's no way around it. And I think that is the turnoff for a lot of people. They want that instant gratification of getting their hair done, getting their hair cut, having that fly outfit, having that cool wallet they can show off, having those J's, you know what I'm saying? Having that cool whip. They want the instant gratification of everybody else seeing it to fawn all over them and congratulate them and affirm them and build them up. And so when you got to do the work inside to get the result outside for healing, a lot of people are turned off because it is not instant gratification unless you just choose to accept that I'm doing the work and I'm going to be proud of that. There's a delayed reaction or delayed gratification. And many of us are spoiled. We don't want to wait. You know, we want it, put it in the microwave. Come on, give me it to you, you know, give it to me in 30 seconds, right?
Yeah. Fast food. Fast food for our life.
Yeah. Or as we like to say, they trying to live on a caviar budget with McDonald's money.
Oh my God.
You know, you want to go through McDonald's drive-through and get that cheeseburger, but you don't want to wait and pay the cost of whatever it is that you actually want. So you go get that instant gratification.
We got 2 more comments here. It's good stuff. Jerry Springer, Howard Stern. Yep. Some barometer to measure I ain't that bad off. Some are so off course. And we have work to do to inspire change in the mindset for those selves to elevate their frequencies. And Juju says, Jesus did most of his healing work in the
hood. Prostitutes.
That's it.
He's murderers and uncroaked Sahedrins. She's like, just saying. Yeah. And most of them became his disciples. So just think about
that. Yeah. Again, we want the pretty life. We want the Instagram life. Everybody ain't here to live an Instagram life, you know? Or if you flip it, we can all have the Instagram life because all it is pretty moments. But if you do the work, you're going to get the moments that last instead of the moments that are fleeting after that camera click is done, you know? So it's really about what that person feels like they are worthy of. See how that keeps coming back into play? You know, you can delay gratification and put the work in to get where you're going, or you can settle for what is right now. And everybody has to make that choice for themselves. But I love her example of Jesus because I tell people all the time when they're like, oh, I gotta be high vibe. I gotta be, I'm Christian and the good book says, well, did you read the good book? Because last time I read it, it said that Jesus was flipping over tables and he was forgiving disciples when they was around there cutting ears off, so it ain't always pretty.
Jesus is a G.
Listen, all the way. All the way.
I just heard about tables like, what was it, a couple months ago. I'm like, what? This whole persona, because I got brought up in Christianity, like this whole thing, like, oh my God, he is just like this perfect being, can't do any wrong and things like that. So then it's like this measurement or trying to like set the bar of like being like in that type of way of being perfect and and all this other stuff. But like Jesus was hood. He was hood
all the way.
Even Buddha, like I heard a story about Buddha, like when he first was starting teaching the Buddhist way. At first, he didn't allow women to do it because he felt that women were inferior to do the work. But eventually, it shifted. But like just to hear that, I'm like, oh wow! So like these guys, they did still have a human nature. It was a couple of weeks ago. I was saying we said it on hair. I was like, just imagine like back in the day, 2,000 years ago, if there was actually social media, we would have definitely been able to see some like that type of information from like back in the day. Because of course, a lot of stuff, I always feel a lot of stuff is hidden. There's always just the good and good. And people do it now on social media, but like even like the teachings and things like that. But like, I want to hear about the nitty gritty stuff. I want to hear about the first 30 something years of Jesus' life before he had his awakening.
Yeah. Well, I think, we're seeing it. We see it in ourselves. We are God. We are source. We are Jesus. We are spirit. We are extensions of one another. So even though we're individual, we're still part of the collective. So I think if you're curious as to what Jesus experienced, before his awakening, look at yourself. And that's across the board, Black, white, Mexican, Latino, Italian, Puerto Rican, Hindu, whatever. That's across the board. If you want to know what God looks like or feels like, or Jesus or the Holy Spirit or whatever it is that you believe in, look at yourself. Because you came from somewhere, right?
Exactly.
Like literally whatever you believe in, you came from something and somewhere. You are a created being, which means you're the reflection of something. So whatever you're curious of that thing, it's already so. Look at you, look at your experiences, look at your expressions. And I think that you can see parts of that reflection. So I used to have a friend when I was in ministry a long time ago. They used to call me Baby Jesus. And, I asked him one day, I was like, dude, like, why you call me that? And he was like, because you'll flip a table in a minute, but then you be over there praying for folks. And you just like that G, you filled with the Holy Spirit. Like you just Baby Jesus. And I was like, oh.
Yeah.
And I wore it with pride. Hey, it is what it is. I mean, I think you have to be well-rounded and multifaceted.
Yes. Yeah. It's like I listen to the spiritual stuff and like those type of stuff and learn from that. But also I like ratchetness in my life. So like even now, like I'm fascinated. I listen to and I watch this guy. I'm pretty sure you heard of him, Kevin Samuels. I'm so fascinated with just the way that he delivers. It's monumental. And like people just, oh my God, like this. But I'm like, yo, I respect this dude. This dude is just living in his truth. But like I also just watch it, but I could watch it in a detached type of way. Meaning it's like the Jesus teaching, be in this world, but not of this world. I can be in this, like this observe stuff and not really allow it to start to consume my beingness.
Yeah. Well, I look at people like him and I'm like, you commenting on dudes in a league that you're not even in. So, you keep that. That's how I feel about him. I think everybody serves their purpose. So he's serving whatever purpose he's here to do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right.
He's reaching who he's here to reach. And my mindset is like, he doesn't hold space in my realm because it's not relevant for me. Yeah. So I don't find value in it, but it doesn't mean that he's not giving value to someone. And I think that's the thing that we get tripped up on. Cause I guess he did an interview recently and I don't remember all the details, but the basic of it was he basically told a girl she wasn't good enough for something. And people were up in arms about it. And I was so confused because I was like, why you mad? If she choosing to listen to him and take it, why you mad?
Yeah.
Like, clearly he has an audience. You know what I'm saying? So whatever purpose he's serving,
Yeah.
let him do it. You know, I think if more of us were able to take that approach and just understand we all here to do something, whatever that something is. We don't have to agree.
Yeah.
Kind of live and let live, as long as it's not, I can't say he's not causing harm, but as long as it's not murder or
Yeah.
something detrimental, like as long as you're not trying to kill me or cause harm to somebody that I know, I tend to take on the mindset that live and let live. Now, if you come in my sphere or you're trying to cause harm to me or somebody I care about, I feel like all bets is off. I feel like that's the first rule in spirituality is protection. So, you know, protection is self-defense. But aside from that, I say live and let live. And I think if more of us embraced that and adapted that, we'd be a lot less angry at other people's stuff and doing a lot better in our own lives.
It's funny because like the say that came in my mind is like, which protections do I need? Do I need to use this sage, use this crystal, or use these hands?
I got all of them. I say double up. I had a conversation. We were doing a live on my page a couple of weeks ago, myself and some ladies. And that's exactly what we were talking about, like spiritual protection. It depends on what it is. You know, so in some senses, yeah, grab that sage, that lavender, that mugwort, you know, that rosemary, that pepper, whatever. In some situations, you need to have, you know, an attack dog. In some situations, you need to have these hands. And I said, I'm 41. I ain't got time to be throwing hands. I bruise easily. So they can catch this steel. And, you know, she was like, but you a healer. I was like, baby, listen, just because I'm a healer don't mean I'm stupid. You know, self-protection. Well-rounded in self-protection.
Yeah. It's like that saying of turning the other cheek. I feel like there's like a limit to like turning the other cheek. Meaning like you punch me in my face or like you punch somebody that I know and care about in the face. Like for example, my son, somebody hit my son, I'm gonna fuck you up. And then we're gonna have to talk after that.
Listen, kick ass now, take names later.
I got 4 cheeks.
Oh gosh. Before we go there, Juju says, I bet no one was talking to Buddha about his weight, especially with all that heavy and hefty wisdom that he dropped.
Facts on facts on facts. Listen. Take it for what you can get from it. You know, there's value in everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Take it for what you can get from it.
And everything.
Everything.
I gotta say it real quick. Just like this is essence of because I mentioned Kevin Samuels, and I sort of say like the reason why. Okay, I know we're about the time wise, but just the reason why I like him is the fact of like the way I see it is there's 2 things. It's like that balance of manifestation of what you want, but then also like what are you doing to get what you want, type of thing. So that's what I see it as in that one. But then of course, like there's too much overly in the delivery and things like that. But it's just him. It's totally fine. That's his authentic truth. But I resonate with that part, and that's why I observe it because like it's the type of thing of like somebody I want to manifest $1 million and stuff like that. Okay, what are you doing about it? What type of actions are you doing right now to like manifest that?
I have come to a place where I have duality, right?
Yeah.
When it comes to how to manifest. So I firmly believe that you got to take action. Question is, what is that action? That's where the duality comes in for me, because here's an example. There was this testimony was shared with me years ago. There was this woman, she had been single for a while, and she was kind of shy. And she was like, God, I'm ready for a husband, but I ain't going out there. Like it's too much going on. Now, the average person would be like, well, how you going to meet a husband if you want to leave your door? God ain't going to bring him to your door. Really? Because guess who she married? The UPS man. So
She was open. She was open and
She was
receptive.
right. So delivering packages, if she was anything like me, because
All right.
listen, because I get Amazon to the door every day. My partner be like, "What the hell you done ordered now?" So she was like me. The UPS man was probably coming every week. They struck up conversation, got to know each other. So action does not mean that you always got to be out here leaping mountains and jumping across creeks and rivers. Action sometimes is working on your mindset, being open, again, doing the work to heal you so that you can be receptive when the thing that you want comes. There's no law that says you got to go somewhere to get it or that you can't get it in the space that you occupy.
Wow.
You can stay in the same spaces, but if you change, your circumstances will still change. So, I think that's the thing with manifesting. A lot of people have made it so convoluted and so scary and overwhelming that people just don't know what the hell to do. And really, it's all about figuring out your what, your why. What is it that I need or want? Why do I want this thing? What is it going to do for me? Right? And then you connect with your higher power, your belief system to say, now what is it that I need to do to cultivate the experience that bring this thing to me? Again, do I got to go somewhere? Do I need to be somewhere else? Do I need to meet somewhere else? Do I need to do a thing right here? Do I need to wait for Monday? Do I need to wait for Thursday? It's all about tapping into that divine wisdom and then doing what you're led to do. In her case, she was led to talk to the guy when he asked her out, So you, again, take an action, but it shows up differently for different people.
So true. Juju says, what the divine has planned for you is for you. Nothing can stop the blessings for you, however it arrives or is packaged.
Facts on facts on facts.
All right. We have definitely done this episode justice. And thank you, Jasmine, for the amazing perspective that you shared. We've got Jasmine's website scrolling across the bottom. IamHealingOne.org. You got anything that you want people to check out? Anything that you're doing that you're up to lately?
I think the two main things that people ask me about most right now are the hotline and the crystals. And because they're like, but you a Black chick, how you own a crystal shop? I think it's, it's still outside the norm for some people. And really, I just chose to step up and meet the need because I've been working with crystals for like 15, 16 years since I was a massage therapist. And I struggled to find them. I struggled to find reputable people to buy them from. So as I shifted in my business over the years, I decided I would fill that gap because I knew so many people that looked like me that didn't know where to go, who to ask, what to do. And so I had been working with them behind the scenes. So I said, well, let me add this into the business, to reach the people that need it, to provide that safety, because a lot of us have curiosity and questions and we just don't know, where to get started, but they are a powerful tool in the healing journey. I started the hotline for the same reason. I charge what I charge, and I charge commensurate of who I am and where I've come, in my journey with expertise and wisdom. But I never wanted healing to not be accessible, right? And so I felt like the hotline was a budget-friendly option, whether your budget is $500 or $20. It's a budget-friendly option that allows people to take the control back into their hands of how long they want to talk, what they want to ask, whether it be coaching, astrology, tarot, intuitive readings, whatever. And it allows people to start where they are and instead of feeling like they got to sell their soul to the devil and sell their 3 kids too, to be able to afford the services that they need. So all of that information is available on the IamHealingOne.org. They can find out about the crystal goodies. They can find out about the hotline. And I am proud of the fact that I am a Black owner of both of them, because it's not non-existent in the healing circles. I think it's more prevalent than a lot of us realize, but it's still not always easily accessible based on location. And so that was one of my goals, to make them easily accessible, online, before COVID even happened, but especially now because of, what we're experiencing. I think we need that safety even that much more. So here I am.
This was so much fun. So grateful
Yes.
for you and this
Thank you, guys.
conversation. We appreciate you. Thank you to everyone who's commenting. Garrett, Juju, Carmen. We appreciate you and we see you too. And with that,
stay magical.
Bye, guys.